we're different in many ways, but one thing we share in common is strong communication style.
I'd probably say three things that really matter, right? One, obviously you want to have an emotional connection. Number two, I think the similar way of playing is helpful. And then probably the third one is trust for me. If you go in a direction, right, the trust of like, okay, you know, I'll follow. You do that, oh no, but I want to go here, and it goes, and it's too much.
I'll say, right, I want to go in this direction, and trust me that it will work, and vice versa. And so then you get really nice flow of styles, of music and genres. It just seems to work.
Yeah.
Martin, Henry, thanks for being here. Tell me, where are you guys from? What is the first time that you press play in front of other people?
Do you want to go first?
Go for it.
Well, like the origin story of how I discovered vinyl is probably how I first discovered pressing play. My father had a vinyl recorder in the living room, and I was fascinated by it and how it works. And so the first time I think I ever pressed play was playing Michael Jackson Bad to friends and family.
Nice.
Repeatedly over and
Was
over
it like
again.
2 vinyls or?
No, it was a single
one?
vinyl deck, but I think
Okay.
it's an interesting...
Does anyone have a photo or video evidence of that?
No, sadly not, I don't think. But
I've seen photo evidence of him on vinyls though.
yes.
Okay.
Well, that's the kind of a fun story of how I first pressed play.
And where was that?
In my parents' living room, and I was about 6 years old. So,
Okay.
yeah, so I was very young. You tell your story, and then I can tell mine of where the real story.
Yeah, I guess the first time I pressed play was in, I came to the US in September 2009 and wanted to figure out a way to, has always loved house music since I was a kid. Obviously in Europe, people listen to house music everywhere, right? On the radio, it was quite popular even in, you know, the 90s, 2000s, probably a bit more generic than what you'd find here in the US. And so I had always wanted to DJ, but came to the US and figured there is literally no house music in the university that I came at, right? It was pop, hip hop, rap, right? And so my brother and I decided, why don't we just start DJing? And then, you know, fast forward, we ended up playing throughout college. That was the beginning of it.
I think I remember seeing a picture of you in a polo. Was it maybe with a pop collar from back in the day?
I can't confirm nor deny that.
Let's go into a little bit more of your story through that version of playing Michael Jackson in front of your family, playing house in college, to kind of where you are today, and like what's that journey been like?
Yeah, I mean, the story of me DJing is in two halves. So yeah, I'm of an age where I learned on vinyl.
Don't age yourself too much.
At college. No, I'm proud of it. Yeah, I can still play vinyl under duress. Yeah, I did that through my 20s, and then I honestly took a break from it and really returned to it, like playing out relatively recently, so 2021, picked it back up, played some parties in front of people spontaneously, and then I've really sort of taken it back up from there. And that through that process met a new kind of crew from Mexico City and New York, and that actually spawned my move to New York, and that's how I met this guy, and so it just kind of accelerated from there. So it's a tale of two halves.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second half seems to be getting pretty good. So
Nice.
Yeah, I guess for me, the journey was, so I guess 4 years in college, right? We were playing a lot. We were probably playing 2-3 times a week, mostly studying though, promise.
Yeah.
But
As long as mom and dad do.
but so a lot of playing from 2015 till 2009, 2015, every week, pretty much nonstop. Then I actually ended up moving to Boston. Over there, played definitely less. I would actually come to New York, had some small gigs, but probably from, I'd say 2015 to 2018, wasn't playing that much. Bit of a hard scene to penetrate in Boston too, and it's it's a micro scene, right? And then moved to New York in end of 2017, early 2018, and then since then I've basically nonstop. It really started actually for me in New York. Pretty sure it started with her name was Carmen actually.
How did you two meet?
We had a lot of mutual friends. So I've told him the story of how, like, I think I first saw him like through social media. I was like, who is this guy in a cowboy hat playing music because he was playing music in Mexico as well. And it's one of those people like you're probably destined to meet at some point or other. Yeah, I get the story goes the popular tale is that we took a magical train ride out to Dia Beacon, the art gallery. And
Yeah, we did.
Great friends ever since, and so yeah, it was a fun day. I think actually the interesting thing about that trip was we laughed a lot, but we realized we had a way of communicating kind of without words, which actually is very useful if you're playing back-to-back DJ. And so we rely on that now, so it's quite a funny memory to look back on.
We can go into more details about that day at the Beacon. It was a really funny and hilarious day for a lot of reasons. And I can't remember how much we laughed over there, and then eventually cooked, had a really nice dinner, had friends over. Yeah, it was a pretty nice day. And I think the first time probably similar actually, I think I told you this, right? But the first time I actually heard or saw your name, something was for the shamanic party.
Yeah.
Because two of my really close friends were at that party, and I asked them, "Oh, that's cool. Like, who was playing?" And they told me Martin Thiele. I was like, okay, I had no idea what this guy is, but sure. And looked like videos looked pretty cool.
Talk to me a bit about the communication without words that you brought up. What is that? Walk me through that.
So, I mean, I think one thing that Henry and I share in common, we're different in many ways, but one thing we share in common is a strong communication style that can be verbal. It's also be non-verbal as well. So, okay. And when you're playing music, obviously it's loud and you're in an environment, there's a lot of stimulation going on. So it's useful if you can look at each other and give each other a signal of like, this is good, this is bad, I like this. I think that's just something that is helpful. But I think also verbal communication, we both can be quite blunt.
Personally, what's the expression? You wear your emotions on your sleeve. Is that the right expression, right?
Yeah.
I think
you wear your heart on your sleeve.
Your heart on your sleeve.
Or emotions.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I have a horrible poker face. Despite having beaten some of our friends at poker, I'm proud of it a few times. But really a terrible poker face. I'm very expressive. And so I think, I know it definitely makes him laugh quite a bit. So that's probably, you're definitely always going to know how I feel, right? It's very, very rare for me to be able to hide it.
That's probably a good thing with someone who understands your communication style, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
maybe that's why you two work so well together, is you kind of have that already.
I also think we have like very similar approach when you want to play with someone back to back. For me, there's a few things, but I'd probably say three things that really matter, right? One, obviously you want to have an emotional connection, close bond with that person, because it is, after all, you're sharing emotions, right, together. Mm-hmm. Number two, I think the similar way of playing is helpful, right? And a similar view of how you're going to build a dance floor and transmit your energy and how you want to get there. That's super important, right? Because there's so many different styles of music that can be incredible, but if they clash, right, and you have a different approach, and it's just not going to work together, right? And I think we have actually that similar approach to music, if that makes sense, right? And then probably the third one is trust for me as well. So like, if you go in a direction, right, the trust that like, okay, I'll follow that direction, as opposed to sometimes what the issues can be back to back is people pull back, right? You do that, oh no, but I want to go here, and it goes, and it's too much of it's a yin yang, and it keeps on flip flopping.
It's like
right?
Too dynamic almost.
And so we trust each other enough. Like he goes into a direction, like that's not necessarily what I would have done, but like, let's go, right? And like vice versa. And I think that works quite well.
Yeah, I mean, I would describe it as both an ability to lead or follow.
Sure.
And throughout a set, it switches. And I think that's quite rare. Like, quite often you'll get someone who's very strong, and then someone's always following, and it just doesn't ever sound quite right. I'll say, right, I want to go in this direction. They trust me that it will work, and vice versa. And so then you get really nice flow of styles of music and genres that just seems to work.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I've heard you guys play back to back a number of times in different settings, and it is quite seamless. And I think that's, as somebody listening to it on the dance floor, it's almost like, I don't want to know that if I weren't looking at the booth, I wouldn't want to know that there's two DJs there, kind of thing. And it's just like, you guys are very, very good at being able to just kind of move in the same direction. And that is a bit of one of you's leading, one of you's following, because, I've watched as well. I haven't just listened, but I think that's a really good point, that, you have to have those key elements of, like you said, the trust and, that emotional connection, which is huge for performing in front of other people, because what's the point of DJing really? It's to give that emotion, right? So let's separate the B2B for a second, because I'm curious, like, obviously you guys are able to lead and follow each other quite well. Do you both have what you would describe as kind of like a sound that you gravitate towards, a style you gravitate towards? I know you said like the way you move a crowd through a dance floor. How would you describe that journey, that process?
Ooh, it's a loaded question. Go for it.
It is.
Take it first.
I like loaded questions.
Like you could talk about it for hours, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, as I said earlier, I've been doing it a long time, over 20 years. So I've amassed a collection of music, and I've always had a very broad taste in music. I mean, my like original kind of influences were like in the Jamiroquai funk range, Michael Jackson, as I mentioned earlier, house, and then into darker sounds, techno. So I've amassed a collection, everything from disco to techno. And so I think one thing that maybe I kind of, as I've played, I've always struggled is to find a specific sound. And like I could play, I guess, to a variety of different situations. So I think in some ways, actually, like talking about that kind of helps to give a specific sound to a specific set. But I mean, for me personally, I gravitate towards house music in general. I know that's a very broad genre, and particularly melody and funk. But I think that the thing that symbolizes all the music I love is groove, so like momentum.
I mean, it's honestly, it's funny. My two biggest influences growing up were Jamiroquai and Michael Jackson. So there you go.
Did you guys know that?
Actually,
did you know that about each other?
Actually, so it's like so.
There you go.
And yeah, you too. Yeah. So. Yeah. By the way, yesterday I found a sick remake of Jamiroquai. You'll hear it soon.
Yeah, I mean, Jamiroquai is awesome. I guess now you have to, one of you. But who's gonna play it first now?
But yeah, I think house music too for me, right? But like I sometimes have the greatest time playing sets that are also literally like barely any volume, and you're playing at like 105 BPM, right? Like it's just different. It depends on the setting, right? So like it's all about setting.
I've ever heard you play one of those.
Yeah, I've played them like we did it last year. We did one last year at Sedona. That was really special, especially at the end. Like everybody was laying on the floor,
nice.
literally just like meditating and just playing a set. Like those kind of things can be really fun too, right? So
of course,
I think it's all context, right, and setting. So I think it just depends. But if I had to choose one, I guess house, right? But it's I honestly like all music. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of classical music. I try to go to the opera all the time. I go to musicals. I love jazz, right? So I think honestly, influence is pretty broad.
Has there been a show or a performance or a song even or an artist that has caught both of your ears recently that's inspired you to maybe take a risk or try something a little different?
We haven't talked about it, but I mean an artist that really inspires me or that I find so captivating or mesmerizing, I think is the word, is Neil Strong.
Dude, you're fucking kidding me. I was literally gonna say the same thing. I think it's because we talked about it like a few nights ago. Yeah.
I've probably got a spare ticket.
Yeah, he's freaking incredible, obviously. But we would never play his music.
Sure, of course.
Right? But it's different.
That's kind of why I mention it. It's the artistry and the creativity.
He's more
and also he's
a musician.
Yeah, and it's the creativity on the fly, and I think that he's a magician. So I find that inspiring, just very far away from house music. I was going to say like Midnight Generation, actually, like they're brand new brands, like Don't Wait Up. That's an amazing track.
Take me to a set where you've played either together or separate that has stood out in your minds as somewhere or some night or day or sunrise or sunset that you'd like to bottle that energy up and just have that be kind of what the energy is every time you guys play.
I mean, Sunday was pretty cool.
Sunday was cool, yeah.
Recency bias, but no.
Yeah, recency bias for sure, yeah. I mean, for me, I think there was definitely I used to organize parties for my birthday in Mexico. So I threw my 40th there. That was a very, very special energy.
Nice.
But the first one I ever threw was in this crazy villa in Acapulco. And it was a very interesting pivotal point in my life where I was kind of in between these different worlds, and it was just a very crazy situation with a lot of friends and new friends in the bottom basement nightclub of this Acapulco villa, and I remember I threw down a Sweet Dreams Eurythmics remix, and that it was almost like this watershed moment in my life, I think, where just the tracks clicked over and went in a different direction. So
Cool.
yeah, it's an amazing memory.
There's so many, but I mean, I guess I'll try and choose one that's maybe a bit different. Probably the first night at the Burn in 2023 or 2022, we took an art car out. So we had I basically helped coordinated with a camp for their art car to come in front of Ikigai, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to pick the entire camp up as a surprise so that everybody could bond the first night together on the Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
And so of the camp, I don't know, like I think probably 50, 55 people went on the bus, which is super cool, right?
Yeah.
And we started to ride in Deep Playa, and it was a massive sandstorm. And so got to play like with everybody on this super cool bus, crazy good sound system, and went all the way far Deep Playa and played there for 3 hours. And that was just like in a sandstorm, right? And like the first night there, and
I think
that's
that was
just like
23 because I was not there in 2023,
Okay.
and that didn't have. There wasn't a sandstorm.
I think you know what? I think it's 23. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
Otherwise, I feel like
mud
I would've been on
year.
the bus.
Pretty sure it was a mud year. Mud year was a 2023.
Yeah,
right?
that was 23.
Yeah, so it was that year, and that was phenomenal. And I got to play with my brother, which was super special.
Amazing. What are the things that make a dance floor great besides great sound? Because that's a given, right?
I mean, each year I try to go to new places and experience different festivals. I love festivals. It started probably back in Glastonbury in the UK many years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So last year I went to Waking Life and to Fusion, both super special, very different, and a great contrast. They just happened to be back-to-back weekends, so that was a little intense. But yeah, really inspired by Waking Life, just the beauty of it, the serenity, the atmosphere. The fact it's surrounded by this beautiful lake, and musically the programming was just completely avant-garde and like not what I listen to normally.
Wow.
Like very minimally focused. So again, like I always love to just be inspired by different sounds. Very open, a very sort of welcoming environment. And Fusion was like the opposite, just like almost a religious experience for techno in some ways. But I think what makes that place special as well is like there's no phones, no photography, no videos, and people really respect it and even uphold it amongst the crowd. And so that's super important for me on dance floors. And so people are just so into it.
Being present.
And so, and that was true at both of those festivals. So I think, I'd highlight those two. I'm looking forward to Goat and Garbage, which are the two destinations this summer.
Have you been to Garbage or no?
No.
So I was about to say Goat and Garbage. So
yes, for some reason you guys are really on the same wavelength with a lot of these.
So
or Henry just hears Martin talking.
Right. The reason why I was gonna say, and probably they're also very different, but Goat specifically that I went last year, which I'm really happy because we're going to be playing this year actually, and we're playing on main stage, which is really, really cool. What I love about it is it's a small festival, right? It's 2,000 people, so it's not overwhelming. And what I love about that one, that actually you might not think about this, but actually I think it has a massive impact, is there is only ever one stage open at the same time.
Wow. Okay. So that forces everybody to be, if they want to hear music, they have to be at
so everyone actually, it's a 2,000, again, small festival, but everybody's on the same journey, right? Because if you think about festivals, like people are usually, especially when you like different friend groups, I want to go here or I want to go there.
Yeah.
And then there's like, it can be a bit more chaotic, right? Here, it feels like it's a lot more, everybody's in symbiosis and everybody's on the same wavelength because, the music is energy, and the energy that they're all getting that same energy from the music. So if the music is dark, they'll feel the same way. Everybody feels, right? So it creates this really nice vibe, which I really appreciated. And it's a new festival, by the way. If anybody who's watching this, highly recommend to go. I think it's really, really cool.
Goat Festival. When is it?
It's in Portugal next to Porto.
It's July 4th weekend.
Put it in the description, a link to it.
Yeah, and then Garbage, obviously, but the Garbage is everyone's heard of Garbage. Garbage is just so incredible because you just like the breadth of the music is crazy, right? You just hear so many new sounds that you've never heard before, and so many new artists that you never heard that are just incredible. So that's really, really cool.
Nice.
So big fan.
Nice.
Also not too big. It was like I think only 7,000 people this year. So it's a good number.
Yeah, I've noticed, at least with things that have stood out to me, is very similar to what you guys have said. It's just that like there's a communal aspect to it, right? Like there's these events where people are on kind of on the same page or really enjoying and embracing it, but also that they're fully present, like you said. You know, I remember there was a small little 3-day festival that I went to last year that was like an hour outside of Berlin, and everybody, you could have your phone out, but nobody really did. And, you know, it made me really think about like other places or other dance floors that I've been on lately where people are having conversations with each other and like just holding their phone up.
I think it's a very US
moment,
thing, to be
right?
honest. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like in the US, we really do live in a society that a lot is geared around social media, a lot more than you'll find outside. And so I think that's really a plague, right? Like we need to figure out how to get rid of it as much as we can.
How would you two, you know, advocate or manage the reduction of, you know, holding a phone up?
Well, I think phones like Signal, right, who just opened, they have a no phone policy, right?
Yeah.
Like I think generally clubs should just have a no phone policy. I think that would really make a big difference. And it's not that hard. If you have it, people do it, right? Like people are happy to do it, right?
So that environment.
You should just create that environment. Exactly. If you're a club owner, etc., like you should just make that a rule.
Yeah. The other thing you can do is you can book smaller acts. So I think that drives big phone usage is big acts, big main stages with the big acts, because we all want to capture that moment.
Yeah.
So
but you can still end up in small clubs here, and people are still with their phones out sometimes, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of it, though, to your point, is there's such a visual element to large names and big acts now, right? Like, you know, you look at Enema at the Sphere, and that was like
of course,
mind-blowing, right? But I didn't go with just the clips that I saw, and it's like, you know, how could you not at least get a minute of that or something? But, you know, you just see it's like,
I mean, how cool would that be if ever they did it in the Sphere and they literally said no phone in here?
I mean,
that would be amazing. Like, imagine the experience
100%.
And everybody's just present in this crazy, you know.
But I think it's partly as electronic music has changed over from like, you know, raving or underground or like actual like DJ performance into performance of concerts. And I think as that's happened, you've seen more of this happen, because a lot of people record when they go to see concerts. So there's now this strange mishmash. Yeah, like back to basics is just, you know, good sound system, good music.
Yeah.
Good people, go.
Yeah, of course. You know, and I think a lot of it is just, you know, what somebody's intentions are by going to see an act or a performance. We've all seen the difference between people who just want to be there and appreciate the music, be in the moment, versus someone who's there because it's a big name and they want to get the moment of the one song that became popular from that little clip on social media. And like, on one hand, you know, that is the modern day marketing, right? It is like, unfortunately, like how acts really promote themselves. On the other hand, it almost would add an element of, you know, I don't know, mystery or suspense, even if, for example, there was a no phone policy.
I do have a theory. I guess it's maybe a hope, but I do actually think that if you think about it, 15 years ago, phones didn't really exist, or at least they were like just smartphones, right, with like high quality cameras.
Right.
So I think we're a bit, and this happens in a lot of industries, right, where you're a bit in that adoption curve where you sort of hit that peak right now where it's kind of a free for all, and there's no regulation, or people just even if it's not a rule or a law, something that people just abide by because it's like socially not accepted, right, to be on your phone like that. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5-10 years the use of phones really starts to drop, or smartphones in venues. That's actually my theory. This is actually going to happen.
I hope. I think it would do a world of good for everyone involved.
Let's see. I hope that I'm right on this one.
Me too. I think we all do.
We'll look at the video in 5 years and say, Henry, you were an idiot.
Probably.
Everything's cool again.
Yeah.
You know, it's too gentrified.
But think about it, right? Like if you think about even like clothes, right? Like there's all the time you have like
fashion trends,
trends that come in and out, right? And so
I just think the cameras are going to go into your clothes and you won't be able to see them, and they're on all the time. That's my theory.
Okay.
It's also possible. Or in your glasses.
Which was likely.
But at least people won't be. Well, at least they won't be like this. Maybe a bit more present.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone's just live streaming their own experience.
That's my.
I don't know. Who knows? But hopefully, electronic music is still a great experience.
You walk into a venue and record part of your experience. They'll then blend it automatically with the 5 HD, whatever, and then you'll walk out and they'll be ready to go on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
You just live stream at all times. at all times.
But we can have hope.
Yeah. What is a dream venue that you haven't played, or event or festival that you said, this is top on the top of my list for somewhere I have yet to play?
Garbage for me.
I haven't really played a set at the Burn yet that like really is super memorable. I think I probably played the same Sandstorm in 23. I just realized.
Not the same memory, huh?
On the top of the dragon.
That's cool.
But yeah, we're both going this year, so I think I'd look forward to that. I think that could be pretty special.
There'll be some good ones.
I'm sure. And we just mentioned it, but another plug for Signal. I think in New York, I'd love to get in there just because of their policy and they're very progressive and that would be a fun place to play.
I agree. Yeah, I really, really like and appreciate what
we like the
they're
venue
doing.
in New York for sure.
Yeah. Shout out Signal. Henry, I just want to take a moment to thank you, because without getting to know you and connect with you, I would have never gotten a gig in New York City. So Henry was my first advocate for getting me booked anywhere. And I think the first club her name was Carmen too.
Oh, yeah?
So so I appreciate that.
Of course.
And I know that that's, you've done that for other people as well, but just want to let you know I'm grateful for that. So, and maybe somebody who's on this couch as well. Any upcoming shows or events that are in the near future this year that you guys want to talk about that you're looking forward to, excited about? I know you mentioned Goat community. Anything else as well?
Well, I was gonna say, actually, this weekend is, I think, my first weekend that I'm not playing for the last 14 weeks. I was looking, which is crazy. Yeah, I swear.
All right, you can come to my set then.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy actually. So that's really nice actually. I think the month of April is gonna be a little bit, well, at least as of now, the month of May, supposed to be a bit more quiet, which is nice. And then personally, I'm playing almost every weekend, like in Europe from June to July. A lot of it is like, some mix obviously Goat. Some of it is actually, I'm really excited. I'm playing my brother's wedding, which is really fun.
Nice.
And I'm playing two of my best friends' weddings too. I always have a blast, as you guys know. I think it's fun, right, to play like some of your super close friends' weddings.
Yeah. So
I have and one's in Athens, one's in Spain, one's in France. So that's pretty fun. And then I have a few gigs in Europe on the side too. So.
Nice.
I also have a wedding in May as well. But nothing specific, just some fun stuff in the pipeline. So
nice.
Watch the space.
Yeah, and potentially in Colorado over Memorial Day weekend. That's a possibility. He was supposed to come with me, but this festival that's organized by this camp in Burning Man camp, that's like a local Colorado-based Burning Man camp, and they organize this 800 people festival.
Nice.
And yeah, they bring art cars, etc. So it should be pretty cool.
Nice.
It's called Planet V.
Any ideas where you guys are going to take things this evening for this little set, or are you just gonna kind of wing it?
It's gonna depend on who plays the first track. You're like, oof, I wasn't expecting that one. Let's go. Talk about the trust.
It's probably worth mentioning, there's no planning, there's no system, there's no shared playlist, there's nothing like that. No, it's always very off the cuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, we usually talk before, right? Like, this is what we should go towards, that direction. But we usually, his idea, we have the same one, right? We just confirm it.
By talking before, is that like, as you're on the way to the venue, or like?
No, it's 3 minutes before we press play.
No, come on. No, usually the day before, like through a text. By the way, I'm thinking this. Yeah, I agree. Okay, done.
Yeah, exactly. Just to get on the same page.
Yeah.
Where can people follow your music? How can people stay in touch with you? Find you on the internet?
On Instagram and SoundCloud. Post a link.
Yep, we'll tag it. If you want to say it.
Salimbeni Music is the Instagram.
Yeah, Martin.ppm.
Martin, Henry, thanks for
having us
me today.
Yeah, no,
I'm looking forward to the set. Great having you guys on.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that Q&A with our latest guest. It would help a lot if you hit subscribe, so I can grow this channel and bring more artists onto the show. You'll get to learn more about who they are and hear their craft. So hit that subscribe button now, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the set.